Okay, so interview with Matt Thompson. All right, so the first you were talking about how you are the only American dumb enough to get caught up in this horrific situation in the Thailand prison. Explain how you found yourself there.
Well, it's not a prison. Prisons are actually nicer. These are immigration detention centers. So everyone that's not a native Thai person that comes to Thailand and either overstays the length of their visa, or they sneak into the country like, regular immigrants and stuff do, that whole entire facility is filled with those people. Not people that murdered anybody, not people that stole anything. It's all people that either fled their country because they were facing persecution or death, or like one guy that was in my cell, he came to Thailand on vacation and met a woman. They ended up getting married. He didn't go through the proper channels to get his stuff done, so he was locked up in there. So all these detention centers have in them are just people, displaced people. There's nothing horrible about them. There's nothing bad about them. And for me, I travel for long periods of time. So like I was coming at the end of a 6-month trip when I went to leave Thailand. So like I wouldn't have got arrested and sent to the detention center at all if I had, it was like $750, I think, at the time. When I was at the airport, if I would have just paid that, I wouldn't have even had to get arrested and go through the detention center. But like I said, I traveled so often, I thought they were fucking with me the whole time. I'm like, there's no way they're going to lock me up and do all this shit, So I just kept telling them no. And they would bring a couple more people in later saying, you call home now, you haven't sent money now, you're in big trouble. And I'm just like kind of laughing it off. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I know how this goes. This happened every other place I went. And eventually they just put cuffs on me and took me out of the airport. And I'm like, okay, well maybe I was wrong.
Wait, because you wouldn't pay?
I didn't have the money to pay. They wanted me to call home and call my friends in the office and have them fucking, I should watch my language if we're going to use it.
Yeah.
And have them Western Union money to me on the spot to a person in the airport.
How much money did they want from you?
It was $750.
They wanted $750 from you before you left the country.
And they're like, you call home, you have friends, they send you money now. And the time changed, it was like 3 a.m. back in the States. And it sounded so fucking absurd to me. I'm like, there's no way you guys are telling me the truth. Like, it doesn't matter who I call. I'm going to say, hey, I'm being detained at the airport, and these guys in uniforms want me to send $750 Western Union to this Thai name, and they'll go pick up the money, and when they get the money, they'll come back to the airport and let me go.
You were just walking through the airport. When did you get apprehended?
I was flying out. I had a ticket to fly out to Indonesia. So I just went through the same processes that you do when you go to depart any other city. And it was the very last customs checkpoint. I handed the guy my passport, and I said, look, I overstayed. I know I owe you a fine. Just let me know how much it is, and obviously I'll take care of it when the time comes. When I get back home and stuff, I'm still traveling on. I don't have the money. That's what everyone told me, that they would just let me go and you wouldn't be able to come back until you paid the fine. That was everybody's answer before this point. Like, even local Thai people didn't know. They'll let you go. Like, you just have to pay before you come back, So I just did the whole thing. I went like I was going to leave, and the very last step, the guy's like, no, this is not good for you. And I'm like, again, like I said, since I traveled, I've heard that so many times, so I didn't even think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, buddy. Just fucking give me your spiel and then let me through and get on the plane, And they never did. Like, I went from there to the detention office at the airport, and they had people coming in, good cop, bad cop shit. Like, it was like 4 or 5 hours. And I probably had 2 or 3 different people try to get me to get people from home to send money then, like at that moment, like specifically. And then so I just kept putting them off, and finally they said, all right. And they took me to like a regular police station, and I got booked. Nobody spoke English. All the paperwork they put in front of me was in Thai, and they just kept saying, you sign this, you sign this. And I'm like, I'm not signing that. I'm like, I don't get a lawyer. And they're like, oh, you don't want a lawyer. Lawyer makes you look guilty. And I'm like, I don't understand a word you guys are saying, and all these papers you want me to sign. I'm not going to do it. And they're like, all right. And they put me in a cell. So for 2 nights I was in jail there. Horrible place, obviously, but nowhere near as bad as the detention center. I did 2 nights in the jail, and that's when I got my meeting with the judge to go over my charges, And it was the same thing. Like, I went out locked hand to hand and ankle to ankle with these other Thai people or other criminals. I don't know what they were. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but we walked out like all came together, like these 6 people. I go in the back of this truck. They take me to the courthouse, and we get into the courthouse, and everybody in the whole entire court goes up in front before I do. I sat there the whole entire time, and I didn't understand a single thing. I couldn't understand anything that was going on. I kept thinking, well, this has got to be just like the dumbest. Like, I'll probably just pay the fine and I'll get to go. So everybody's done. Everybody's gone. I'm the only one sitting in the fucking courtroom still. And then finally a lady comes in who spoke English, and she showed me my thing. And she's like, the judge is going to come out and do your case now. Just plead, just tell them you're guilty, and then this is the amount you'll have to pay. So I've been through that before. I mean, I've been through jail a bunch of different times. So he came out, and that's what I did. I see he read the charges in Thai, and I'm like, yep, I did that, And then they fined me like $325. So I paid that, and I'm like, cool, they're going to take me back to the airport now and let me go, And they didn't, though. They put me in the back of this freaking truck, like one of those trucks that has a jail cell in the back of it.
Yeah.
So they put me in that, and we're driving, and I kept seeing signs for the airport. That's why I thought I'm the only one in the truck, and there's these 2 guys in the front of the truck, and I'm like, they're just going to take me back to the airport. Look, like all the road signs said airport, and then we passed the airport, and that's when I started to go, fuck, maybe I'm in a lot more trouble than I thought.
Were you really scared?
No, I wasn't scared. Only because I really thought that this was just like the most, like somebody's going to call bullshit at the last minute and go, we're not going to fucking arrest this guy, So I just kept sitting there going, well, I don't know, And then I got to the detention center, and this is where it got really fucking weird. They backed the truck up, so I got out right into the door part to the detention center, and the 2 guys in the truck never got out. They just drove away. Like, I literally got out of the back of the truck, and I was in this fucking cell already. In the detention center, and the truck just drove off, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, "Fuck! I think I'm screwed." I mean, this isn't good at all.
No one was there. No one was there to like get you from the truck to the cell. They just dropped you right off.
They backed the truck up, and I got out. And as I got out, I went into this little walkway, and the truck drove off. And then the people from inside the detention center came and got me, and that's when I knew right off, because they were fucking mean as shit. They had sticks and tasers and shit, and they weren't nice. They kept pulling me here, pulling me there, putting me in front of all this stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Were you still around people that just didn't speak any English this whole time?
Yeah, basically. It took about 15 minutes once they dropped me off at the detention center, and then they went to put me in a holding cell, and you couldn't open the door. It was so crowded, you open the door, people would like kind of fall out the door. And he pointed to me to go in there. He opened the door and pointed me to go in there. And I took a step back, put my hands up, and said, fuck you. I'm like, I'm not going there. Like, I don't know what you guys think I did, but trust me, I'm not going in there. And a couple other guys came and they put me in there. You couldn't, it was so ridiculous. Like, you can't even imagine, like, the lack of space from so many people in there. And that's when I was like, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen now. Like, if I stay in here, I don't think I could have made it in there a couple hours. It was 100 degrees. And all these people, like, no offense, I'm not, but they're all sweaty and stinking. I'm like, no one knows what's going on. So I was there like an hour and a half in that cell.
And this is the holding cell.
This was a holding cell downstairs at the detention center.
Oh, God, I bet that was hot.
Fucking horrible. It was horrible. But eventually they come around, it was like an hour and a half later, and they start taking people out of there's like 4 of these cells in a row, and they're all jam-packed. And they basically go from cell to cell and call out the different countries. They came to my cell, and they took most people out first. Like, they call out Pakistan, and all the Pakistanis go out at once, and they call Russia, and all the Russians. They started separating everybody by country and putting them in these rows, kind of like a duck-duck-goose thing. They fucking take them all out, and they put them in a row, and they all had to sit down cross-legged and just sit there in a row from the countries that they were in this big open area. So I'm like, well, this might be the only thing that saves me. There's not going to be any other Americans in here, so I'll probably just get some bullshit room by myself, and in a couple of days, whatever, I'll get out. It's no big deal. So yeah, eventually I get pulled out, and they call I'm the only American in the row. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whatever happens, it shouldn't be that bad. And I sat there for probably 3 hours from the time I got out of the back of the truck coming from the courthouse till someone came They took my picture and gave me an ID, and then they went to take me upstairs. And that's when I saw, just from walking, I saw in the rooms how horrible it was. I'm like, there's no way this exists in this world. There's no way you could possibly treat people that way.
So in the holding cell, when they were calling out countries, what were the countries that you, like, I mean, can you remember the countries that you heard?
Every country you can think of was in there. Vietnam, China, Ethiopia was there, Somalia. Just wherever the countries that they had people detained from. And like I said, they put them all in their own little row, you know. So imagine like a high school cafeteria without any tables in it.
Yeah.
And then that's about the size of the room that they had, and they just started lining them all up, you know. Women and children, like women that had young children, children that couldn't walk and shit. They had them, like the moms had to like hold their two kids. It was the worst thing you could ever think of, and they are so mean to the people in the jail, the detention center people. If you're Cambodian, if you're from Laos, if you're from Burma, if you're from any of the surrounding countries, they hate them. Like they were hitting people with sticks and shit. And I'm like, I almost got up a couple of times. Like they're smacking this dude in the head, and I'm like, what are you doing? But then I'm like, look around, idiot. Look where you are. Like you really are in shit now. Like stop pretending like this is just gonna go away. Like you're fucked. You know. So I was quiet, and then when we went to go up to the rooms, they're on the third floor. And in the third floor that I was on, there was like 7 of these rooms. They're like 40-person cells. And that's when I got the visual. Because I went by the other rooms and saw how crowded they were. And that's when the guard kept telling me, he's like, no, you know where, you're in good room, America. You're in good room. And I'm like, okay, fucking how good can it be, you know? And then they open the door and you walk in. The first thing, like it's just like when I got there. People come and grab you and they fucking, you know, pull you down and make you sit cross-legged, and then they come up and they give you a little a rug, like 2 foot by 5 foot, and that's your spot. That's the spot that you have in that cell. And they took me to a spot and I laid my little rug down, and that was it, man. It was like my shoulder width by about 5 feet, and that's your spot in the cell. There were 64 people in our cell, and when we all laid down at the same time at night, we were shoulder to shoulder. So like if the guy next to me wanted to roll on one side, like you had to roll with him. It was that crowded. And then they had a little walkway down the middle to the bathrooms. There was 2 squat shitters and this huge tub that just constantly had water trickling in it. And that's where everybody shit and everybody took their showers. You have to take a shower, you walked in there and they had these bowls around the tub, and you just grab the bowls and dump them over your head and stuff. But there's no air conditioning, there's nothing. It's just a bunch of dudes lying shoulder to shoulder on the ground, 90 degrees all the time.
Were the bathrooms enclosed, or you were shitting in front of everybody?
The bathrooms were enclosed. And like I said, I was with mostly first world countries. Like my room was, it does, I guess it sounds a little racist to say it, but I was in a room with like people had managed, they knew how to clean stuff. Like my cell was pretty clean. It was all, for the most part, it was mostly Russians in there, some Chinese, a couple guys from Scotland, you know, that kind of, but the room itself, like the guys were really clean. And that's why I always tell everybody, like, these people aren't criminals. Like it wasn't like being in a prison where you're scared of the people that you're in there with. Yeah. These people are, they're a foreign version of me.
So,
you know, that's all.
And you were told when you were getting processed in that you were going to be in, quote unquote, a good room because you're American.
The best room.
The best room. So you were in, hypothetically, the best room in this place, and it was still that bad. That's interesting.
Yep. We had 64 people in our room. The room right next door was all like Middle African nations, and there was 85. Jesus. They can't lay down to sleep. They all have to sleep sitting up. They have to sit just like that's why I say Doug Goose. It's just like that. They have to sit cross-legged and straddle pretty much the person in front of them. That's the only room that they have.
So,
and it's not like they're only there for a day or two. Sometimes they're there for a year. Some guys, I met a guy from China, he's been there for 5 years in that room, just that little spot.
Was there a general sense of confusion in your room? Like you were very confused about what was going on. Were most people, were you able to communicate well enough with the people in your room to kind of figure out what most of them were doing there?
Luckily, after the first night, because they took me in the middle of the night, I got up the next morning, and I don't know how the other cells were, but in our cell we had like three main guys that have been there for a long time that kind of ran the room and told everybody what to do. They were amazing. Like one guy, he was South Korean, the other guy was Iranian, another was a big Chinese guy. And they were basically like the den mothers for the room. Like they're the ones that set the cleaning schedule, and they're the ones that talked to me and told me exactly what was going on at that point. And once they found out I was American, they said, "Oh, Americans, we don't get very many. If we do, they're only here like 3 or 4 days." He's like, "Don't worry." You know, but at that moment, that's when it hit me, like, that's cool for me. Like, I get to get out of here in 4 days. What are all these other fucking people? What are they here for? How long have they been there? And that's how I got started to learn about it. Like, I just started talking to as many people that I could understand, asking them how they got there and how long they've been there. There's no way to even, I can't put the words together in the right sequence to make someone see how horrible it is what they do to people. Like, you can't, your mind can't imagine it, you know. And I talked about the other rooms, think about the rooms with the mothers, like families that come in. And a lot of refugees that come across the border are with families. So let's say you come across and you've got a son and a daughter. Your son gets stuck in one room and you and your daughter go in another. Now, you're in there with your daughter and you know how horrible the rooms are. And you're thinking your son is in a room all by himself. And you won't see him, you don't get to talk to him, nothing. That goes on for like up to a year.
What do you do all day?
No, you don't do anything. You can sit up or you can lie down. That's it. There's nothing to do. You don't do anything. Like, you just survive. Like you just lay there. It's so hot, you don't want to do anything anyway. I mean, it's 90, 95 degrees the whole entire time. You know, all you can do is just disappear in your mind. You can't go. You can't. There's one walkway through the room. It goes to the bathrooms. That's it.
Do they, you know, what's the feeding schedule like? Do you stay in the room and eat, or do you leave?
Yeah, no, we all have like just little tin plates that they come and drop off. 3 times a day they come around, and you basically just go up to the door, and they have a big pot of rice and a big pot of curried pumpkin, and it was the same all 3 days, or all 3 meals every day. 1 scoop of rice and a couple of scoops of pumpkin. People are starving. I mean, especially older people were weak. People were so weak, you know, they don't get any food at all. That's it. 3 times a day, every day. Just that. Like, it doesn't get changed at all. Except for the last couple of days I was there, instead of curried pumpkin, it was pickles. And I'm not even joking. It was just fucking pickles, like stewed pickles. That was it.
Do they serve? I mean, is there drinking water readily available, or are you just super thirsty too?
They have like one little spigot by the bathroom that they say is drinking water, but I mean, yeah, so you can go fill it up and drink and stuff like that. You know, I didn't get sick, but I usually don't. Like, I drink water in all the countries that I go to. I don't usually get sick, but yeah, my room had it. I can't speak on the other rooms. I'm sure that they all had sort of a similar thing.
So, did you ever leave the room?
Twice a week you get out for an hour. Tuesdays and Saturdays they take you out for an hour, and they put you down, and basically it's a closed-in tent about the size of a tennis court. But they don't just take your room, you're in there with another room. So once you do your outdoor part, ends up being the same as the fucking indoor part, because there's so many people, all you do is basically stand outside in this fenced-in area for an hour, and that's it, and then you go back to your cell. Twice a week you get out for 1 hour, twice a week. So that's it.
What are the interactions with the guard? You said the guards or the people that are working there are pretty violent, or pretty not, they don't really respect the people that are in the center?
Well, a month before I got there, the cell that I was in, they beat a old Pakistani guy to death right in front of everybody. He wanted medication, he got in an argument with them, they opened the door and beat him to death. Right in the cell that I was in, right in front of everybody. And when I was there, you saw the guards. Whenever they had to come and take somebody downstairs, like if an embassy person came to talk to someone, it's not like a jail where they patrol every hour and check on people. Like, they literally, and I read something somewhere, and I can't remember the way that they worded it. In the minds of the Thai people, those people don't exist. They weren't supposed to be in the country. They're in there, so they don't even exist. That's essentially the mindset that the Thai people have, or the Thai detention people have. They don't exist. They lock them up, and however they figure out how to get out, they get out. You know, sometimes I talked to a couple guys. It takes up to three to 4 months sometimes just to send one letter back and forth. And if you're from a country that doesn't have an embassy, or if you're from a country that doesn't have a good relationship with your citizens, those guys are fucked. All the Russian dudes had no clue. They've been there 6 months, 7 months, had no idea when they were getting out, if anybody knew where they were. And that was the other bad thing. It's so hard to contact your family. All these people locked up in there, a lot of their families don't even know they're there. Like, the families have to think that they're dead.
Because there's you don't get to use the phone or contact anybody.
They essentially just disappeared one day. You know,
Jesus.
There was a kid in there from Iran. Yep, he was 22 years old. He'd been there 14 months in that room. He had to flee Iran because his family kept trying to kill him because he was gay. They kept trying to do like an honor killing, which they do all the time over there.
Uh-huh.
So that was his only crime. You know, his crime, he fled his country. He came to Thailand seeking asylum. They denied him asylum and locked him up.
Oh,
God. There's absolutely nothing that kid can do except try his best with whatever system that they had to send letters or get somebody to know that he's in there. Otherwise, he'll just stay there. The guy from China that I talked to, he's been there 5 years in that room. He had to flee. He left his family and everything behind because the Chinese government tried to kill him. So he left China, came to Thailand seeking asylum, got locked up. He's been there for 5 fucking years. Had to leave everything behind. There's no way for him to get out. Like, the three solutions to getting out are you have to have a cell phone to take it back to your home country, which none of those guys have any money. They're never going to, that part they're never going to get out. I forget what the other two are, but your embassy has to come in. But, most of these guys that literally they're just there unless some fucking miracle happens. So my plan with the documentary is essentially to go rescue a handful of them at first, and then the documentary will be about their story. It's just like any other kind of holding cell. There are a few books that you could read, but nothing. I mean, it really isn't. And since it's such a eclectic group, what you basically end up is just all these little subgroups. Like, all the Russians hang out in one. That's how they set the sleeping arrangements too. Like, Russians aren't scattered off. The Russians all sleep in one spot. You know what I mean? And then the Chinese all sleep in their spot. Like, so the room is segregated by country. And if you're from a weird country that doesn't have a popular language to speak, you don't know anything. There's a dude in there from Poland. He had no clue about anything. Nobody can talk to him. He doesn't have any idea about nothing. There's a couple guys in there that were a little mentally slow. They don't even know why they're there. And they've been there a long time, 6, 7 months. This one guy has put everyone through there, no matter what. And whoever sticks. If they never get out, they never get out. They don't give a shit. They just put everybody through that system and collect as much money as they can for keeping them there. They don't let anybody they don't let anybody up inside those places. You can't, not one person from the outside comes in and sees what those rooms look like. Now, like I said, my room has 64 people. The room with the Cambodians and the Malaysians and stuff, it's 100. Women and children. Kids sleeping on top of each other for months. And you're getting the same kind of meal that I got 3 times a day.
And how would you get in then?
How did I?
No. If you go back to make a documentary, how the hell would you get in there?
I got a guy, a friend of mine, he's an interpreter. He knows Mandarin, Spanish, and English. I would basically just run the exact same scenario that happened to me with him. So we would go there. He would go there. I'd have to sneak in, but I already figured out how to do that. He would get signed in as he entered Thailand. We would wait 3 months until he was over. Then he would go to the airport and retrace every step that I took, so I know exactly what's going to happen to him. And then he would get locked up inside there. Would have a hidden camera. I know what you can take in, what you can take in, and what you can't. Like, they let me take my backpack in if they took all the stuff out that they didn't want me to have. So, like, I had clothes in there and stuff still. So there's places you could hide video cameras and stuff in there. His name's David. I already talked to you about it. I'm like, you're gonna have to get arrested on purpose. I said, but don't worry. Like, I just want you to get in there. I know exactly how to get you out, all the money and all that stuff. I just want you to get in there and find out as much as you can. And I picked him because he knows 3 languages, so he'll be able to talk to as many people and find out what's going on. I really don't think I can even come close to letting the U.S. Embassy know that I'm doing it. they obviously have to know what's going on, and they don't do anything about it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it would even be safe or smart for me to tell them that. I don't think it's safe or smart for me to tell very many people at all that I'm doing it until it's done.
No, yeah, and it seems like your best bet would, especially to get the most authentic experience in the documentary, to just relive it, like you said.
Yep.
Shove a hidden camera somewhere.
Which, yeah, I mean, and the good thing is I have some good friends there. I stayed, the lady that runs the school where I stayed last year, we're good friends. She owns a guest house in northern Ohio, which is not very populated. I can go hang out there for 3 months, and it's no big deal. And then, like I said, once David gets arrested, he'll have my contact info, and I'll already have the money set aside. And essentially, he'll just go through the same process I did. I was 2 nights in the jail that I told you about, and then on the 7th day of being in the detention center, on the 7th day is the day that I got out. So I was there for 9 days. David wanted to stay that long because the biggest reason it took me that much longer to get out is just to correspond back and forth to have the money sent to me. That's all it took. When the U.S. Embassy guy was there, like the day after I got put into the cell, he came and I actually talked to him. He told me how it would go. So I knew after the 2nd day that I wasn't going to be there very long. And that's why I was able to calm down. And then that's when the switch flipped. I'm like, I got to tell people about this. You know, so I started asking around, and I had it in my mind already. Once I knew I'd be getting out, that I had to do something.
So when did this happen?
It was end of March.
Last year, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 1 year ago, and then could you explain that day when you got out, what the process was like?
Yeah, they make that as difficult as possible too. Basically, what happened is once the Western Union money was sent, they come and take you. The 2 guards come and get you, and you physically walk next door. They have a bank right next door. You physically walk outside and walk into the bank with your fucking orange, detaination on, and you walk up to this little side counter and pick up the Western Union. You have to give your passport, and I pick up the money, and the second I get the money, I turn around and give it to the guards, and they walk me right back to the detention center. And then they bring you down to you have to use, what they do is they make you use, they have a travel agent set up inside the detention center, and you have to book your flight through them. So once I got back and I had given them the money, I sat down with this lady, and she started looking at flights. So when I say they make it even more difficult, it's that too, because it was 3 times as fucking much money to fly back going through the city.
That is so fucked up. That is insane.
It was $1,300 to go back to New York, and I know online it would have been like $300, and that's the whole thing. That's where they get the extra money as well. Like, it's all about making money for them.
Yeah, that's like one of the craziest parts of this whole story to me, that they force you to fly through this specific overpriced agency. That's insane.
And they force you to pay them in cash. You can't like, your parents can't call and put on their credit card. You have to send the money, Western Union, to a guy, the name of the guy that works at the detention center, and my name underneath it. So when I go in, I show them the race. Before I even turn around the counter, I just fucking gave them the money. And I'm like, I really fucking hope I get out of here now. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're just going to throw me back in the fucking cell and keep my $1,300. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Wait. The only way that you can pay is through cash.
Western Union.
That's the only form of payment they accept.
Yep.
Do all countries have Western Union?
Well, yeah, goofball. There's like 4 billion Western Unions.
I don't know though, but I'm thinking like if you're from like rural Namibia.
I was on a fucking volcanic island in the middle of Lake Nicaragua, a place called Ometepe. It had 2 volcanoes on it and one teeny little town called Mayagulpa, and there was 2 Western Unions.
Okay. That's just insane to me that that's the only form of payment.
Well, it's because they want the cash. They don't want a paper trail of money for what's going on.
Wow.
That's why they don't have to tell anybody that I gave them $1,300. They're not going to they don't have to tell nobody.
God. Okay, so, well, thank you for sharing all that. That is definitely insane.
And then when it came to, I'll finish because I'll finish the part of where the actual deportation part.
Please, yeah.
Once you get your plane ticket, you're good to go. Like you know what time the flight is and that. So for me, I booked my flight at 4 p.m. in that office, and my flight was at midnight. So 2 hours before my flight, they came back to the room and got me. And then the same thing, same kind of truck with like the little jail cell in the back. And then all the people that were flying out that day, or at the around the time that I was, we get in the back of that truck. And that's how I got to learn even more, because there's 2 people from Ethiopia that rode back to the airport with me, a guy from Switzerland, and a couple ladies from Ghana, I think. So they all spoke really good English, way better English than the people I was in jail with. I had 2 guys right next to me in Scotland, and I couldn't understand a fucking word they said. Like, their Scottish accent was so heavy. So I had like another hour in the back of this truck to talk to these people to make sure that it was the same for them. You know, and basically what happens is that they take you to the airport, and then they just take you out. Same thing. They take you out by country. And out of all of it, it was one of the only cool experiences of it, because you're just like fucking like a rock star, because you don't have to do anything. You're walking with a security guard guy, and nobody knows you're a criminal at that point, because you're in your own clothes and you're leaving. And you cut every line. You go behind. You just weave around like you're like a movie star must to sneak out of an airport. You know, you get to go wherever you want, and then you just sit down in this little room until it's time to go. Once you board the flight, the actual guard takes you, and they give the passport to the pilot. They give your passport to the pilot. So you can't get out, you can't do anything. You can't do anything until I got to New York. And that wouldn't be able to get my passport back until then. So you're stuck. Damn. You have to use their services to do it, and you have to do everything exactly as you do it. And as I had the money to do it. It wasn't really a huge deal. I just don't travel with that much money. So the reason I was stuck there that long was just the logistical part of getting the money sent and getting me out. But I guarantee there's not a high population of fucking Americans that would be in a situation to go through that and get deported. Which all the stuff that comes up with the travel ban now in America and refugees and stuff, like I really think that I have such a better perspective than probably anybody. And I'm talking like on a large scale, like a national scale, to explain these things to people, because I know what it's like to be deported. Like I understand exactly what these people go through, and how mentally it's so disturbing. And when I say a concentration camp, you're like, there's no way it's that bad. Fuck you. It's worse. It's way worse. Because you don't move. You don't do anything but sit and sweat. You can't lay down ever. You get no food. You get no clean water. You get none of that stuff. You don't know when you get. It's such a mental torture to lock these people up, and these people know their families don't know where they are. It's such a mental torture that people don't understand it. Like it's on the highest level of torture you can think of, to lock somebody up in there and let them think about their family thinks they're dead. They're never going to get out. They don't. How the fuck do you do that to somebody? I don't get it. But.
God. So I'm just like processing everything you just told me. But I did want to say, it was interesting because I was looking, to me this sounds like something that, people would know about. And
very few people do.
It's really not on the internet a lot.
I came back and Google the shit out of it. There's a human rights group that wrote a story a couple years ago. That's the story I sent you.
Yeah, and I've been looking at that, and that's very in-depth and very good, but
the biggest reason why is because all the other people, their status in life makes them think that in some way they deserve it, and it's not that bad compared to how they've lived their life anyways. Like the guys from Somalia, like they weren't depressed to be in there. It still doesn't make it right or humane. It's not humane to make somebody live in a village that can't, that doesn't have these same services. So there's a reason it doesn't get talked about much, because the people that normally go in and out of there, they don't fucking know anybody. They're not educated. They don't even understand, So, like I said, when I knew what was going on, there's the reason I'm there was this, because I won't keep my mouth shut about it, and I'm smart enough to figure out how to make a difference with it, and I won't give up until I do, So that's the way the reason there's not much talked about, because think about it, the people that are there, they're hiding anyways. That's why they came there. They're hiding from their country, or their country's at war, or, people are trying to kill them. And they're not going to go out and start, here I am, and I was in this place. It's just never going to happen. It's a money-making setup that nobody knows about it, and nobody can stop them.
That, boils my blood.
Yep. There was a treaty that they put together in the 50s for fair and equal treatment of refugees and immigrants as far as living conditions and stuff like that. Out of all the fucking countries in the world, Thailand was one of the only ones that didn't sign it, and that's why nobody can tell them what to do, and that's why nobody can force their way into those rooms to see what's going on. Thailand doesn't have to tell them shit about anything.
Wait, what's the name of this treaty?
It was in like 1950, 1951. If you look it up, I'll send you the link for it.
Yeah.
They're one of the only countries that no place in the world can tell them what to do with refugees. They can do whatever the fuck they want with them. Did you see the thing I said about them selling them? They take Cambodians and Burmese and Laotians now, and they sell them into human trafficking because they don't deport them anymore. They sell them to other people so they don't come back. They sell them by the thousands.
So
to human trafficking, to human slavery, to do work and slave work and shit like that. They sell them
directly from the holding cell or directly from the detention center.
Directly out of detention center. They fucking take them out and sell them because they don't want to deport them because they think they'll come back. So they sell them into slavery.
How do you know that?
I just read an article about it.
Wait.
When I was waiting to talk to you.
Did you told me that on Facebook. I don't know if you sent me the actual article.
I will. I'll send you the news article. That's how they get all these slave laborers on these fucking boats. They do all the fishing and shit. They sell people.
Yep. Okay, that makes it even worse, right? I mean,
right? Now I have one person that understands why I'm so pissed off about it, and people keep telling me, just give it up, man. Like, you don't, so fucking retarded that people are so out of touch with what it takes to just be kind to a human being. You can't make somebody live like that. That is so torturous and so, there's nothing in the world that can compare to that. There isn't. Not even the death of a fucking loved one. At least that's immediate, and you know what's going on. He's dead. All right, fine, I can fucking deal with it. You're stuck in this place. You don't know where your kids are. You don't know if your family knows you're there. You don't know if you're going to get out. You don't know if you're going to have food to eat. You don't know any of that stuff. That is the worst mental torture you could possibly impose on a living human being.